All right, so real quick before we kick this video off, I just want to acknowledge that the OG Kifaru Bino harness is actually no longer for sale. At the time I did this side-by-side comparison of the Mesa and the OG Bino harness, this was still an option for you. However, I'm still going to push this video out because we do a detailed side-by-side comparison talking about pros and cons of each. And if you are looking for a good non-magnetic bino harness and you don't want to spend $279 to get the Mesa, then this is still a good alternative. Honestly, if it wasn't for the Mesa, I would still be running this. You're going to be able to pick these up secondhand on eBay, on Facebook, a bunch of the different archery pages coming up real soon. Anyone that goes to the Mesa, I don't think they'll be hanging on to these. I know I'm going to be selling mine. So obviously, any questions about this one, if you want to buy this one, DM me on Instagram, hit me up with any type of questions that I didn't cover in this video. But with that said, we're going to jump right into this detailed comparison. What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video, and today I'm going to be giving you guys a full rundown of the brand new Mesa bino harness through Kifaru. Now obviously this bino harness did just drop within, I'd say, the last week and a half, and as soon as I saw that this bino harness was going to be available, I jumped on their website and placed my order. I did buy this with my own money. Obviously, if you guys have followed the channel, you know that I'm a huge fan of Kifaru products. I say it on basically any review video that I do on their gear. They make some of the best hunting gear that is available to you on the market. It's all 100% USA made. It's all the material is sourced in the USA, and it comes with an outstanding manufacturer's warranty that's going to protect you from any manufacturer defects through the life of the product. So with that said, let's go ahead and jump into this bino harness. We'll talk about price, we'll talk about the changes, and then lastly, I'll give you guys my overall thoughts and opinions. I do think there are a couple cons that we'll talk about with the new Mesa bino harness, but with that said, let's kind of jump into this video. So the first thing that I do want to talk about is if you guys have their previous bino harness, which I have here, and this was up until now was my primary hunting bino harness, because for me personally, I do not run magnets on my bino harnesses. People will argue tooth and nail about it, but no mag is for me like a non-negotiable when it comes to a hunting bino harness. Now with their previous one, if you have this, the accessory pouches are not compatible with the new Mesa one. So if you buy the Mesa and you want the upgraded rangefinder pouch and accessory pouch, then you will need to buy the deluxe package. If you piecemeal this, you will end up spending more money. So like I said, just if you're gonna bite the bullet, just bite it and get the deluxe package. So starting with what has changed with this bino harness, obviously the original one, and this did change at some point, or I think they were actually giving you the option, but the original one came with like just the really thin 1-inch nylon straps for your shoulder straps. I was not a fan of that. I immediately swapped those out and went to just an older pair of marsupial. These are compatible. You can put it on the new Mesa one if you want to, but the new Mesa bino harness obviously does come with their upgraded Mesa harness. Now for me, I mean, I will say that it's a harness that might take a little bit of adjustment. I'm not sure if I'm going to run this Mesa harness. I may still swap this out to go to a marsupial one. I like the marsupial because it's just a limited amount of fabric. You don't have all these hot spots on your back like you do with the Mesa, but I will say just in my testing with the Mesa harness, I mean, it is extremely comfortable. I like how the shoulder straps are kind of cut to where it pulls away from your neck, where the marsupial does ride a little bit closer to your neck, and sometimes you'll get some rubbing, especially if you're shooting in the summer months and you're wearing like a t-shirt at like a Total Archery Challenge event. So, you know, in that regards, you know, that's your upgraded straps. Now, next, let's kind of start with the rangefinder pouch and then the accessory pouch. So starting with the rangefinder pouch, this was a massive upgrade compared to the previous one. The previous rangefinder pouch, in my opinion, I ran it because it was no magnets, but this thing was a pain in the butt. Really, to get this thing to where your cover wasn't constantly flipping up. You know, it took more effort than I feel like it should have to be able to kind of flip this and get it in what I called like full tuck mode, so it was constantly out of the way. Also, this rangefinder pouch didn't have a designated hook for you to put like a rangefinder lanyard on. This one here on the Mesa is, like I said, night and day difference. What I love about this is it's still one-handed operation, but they did just such a better job at designing this so it stays tucked, it stays out of the way. This year it does come with a designated lanyard hook, so you can put your rangefinder lanyard on here. It's not going to interfere with the rangefinder pouch opening or closing. And then also they did upgrade the size of the rangefinder pouch, so it's definitely going to accommodate a couple different size of rangefinders, some of the larger ones that you may be running. I don't know how the Leupold RX Full Draw 5 compares to some of the other models, but that's what I run, and there's definitely no issue with this thing sliding in and out. I will also say that they definitely, I mean, this thing's been completely overhauled. They also went as far as like upgrading the material on the inside. It's more of like something that I mean, it's more like a standard material, whereas before they kind of had like this mesh fabric, and then over time, as you're sliding your binos or your rangefinder in and out, it quickly started to show wear on the inside of the bino harness. So definitely a huge upgrade on that as well. They did kind of stay with the design to have the Velcro flaps on the side, which kind of come across your body, which I was a fan of because it really allows those accessory pouches to hug your body and kind of stay flat, whereas like the marsupial ones did have the tendency to kind of kick out a little bit, which was a little annoying on that bino harness. So like I said, I like that they kind of maintain that. Now kind of moving over and talking about the accessory pouch, again, another big upgrade. I never really had any complaints about the accessory pouch on the previous one. I thought they did a really good job on it, but this one, like I said, is definitely upgraded. It seems to be slightly smaller as far as like storage capacity or cubic inches, but I mean, for me, all I was really running in that accessory pouch was my headlamp. I would take it off when I got in the tree and I would just put it in that pocket, and that just ensured that I always had it with me because I never go in the woods without my bino harness. And then also this one, there is a little bit of padding on the back, which is nice because it kind of keeps, like if you have any electronics in here, it keeps like condensation from kind of bleeding into that pocket and getting on your electronics. Also, the material that they used on the inside is a Velcro material, so they do offer a bunch of different accessories that we'll kind of go over. One of the accessories that you can add on the inside of this accessory pouch is like a mouth call holder, so if you're doing any type of elk hunting or turkey hunting in this bino harness, you can just have kind of like a stash of a couple calls. And then there also is like a little back pocket that provides a little bit of organization. So they also changed the zipper throw, so the zipper throw is going top to bottom versus left to right like it did on the previous one. You know, small upgrades, but like I said, I mean, it's still obviously a very functional pocket. You know, like I said, for me personally, I'm just going to continue to throw my headlamp in there. Now, moving over to the bino bucket. Obviously, this is probably what everyone is most excited about, or at least I was, because this thing has been completely revamped. Like this bino harness, I mean, if you guys are looking for a Kifaru bino harness, I wouldn't even waste your time looking at the original one. I don't even know if they'll continue to sell that one. This thing is like, I will say confidently that this is probably the best non-magnetic bino harness that I've tested out to date. I think they knocked this thing out of the park, and I was very happy to see this. So let's go over it. So starting on the outside, working in, you can see that they changed the design. You now have a front zipper pocket, which I think it gives it a much cleaner look. They also added a laser cut molle webbing on the bottom. So they do have, again, a bunch of different accessories that you can attach to this. If you have any, you know, marsupial marsupial accessory pouches, like I have their sunglass case, you could obviously run that on the bottom here and attach another pocket on the bottom. On the sides, they do have very spacious side pockets, so you can fit a full release in here. I actually have my UV button too in the new pocket of the bino harness, but this fits in this pocket no problem. And what I really like about it is that they actually added a little bit of a rubber lining at the top, which kind of helps prevent things from sliding out of that pocket. So obviously you could put a release in there, you could put wind puffers in there, really whatever you want. I don't typically use side pockets too often, but they're nice to have in case you do. Now, moving over to the main bino bucket, and like I said, this is where this thing has been completely revamped. So obviously the hood design is completely different. They added a little bit more structure to the actual bino bucket, and if I kind of open this up and pull this aside, you'll see comparatively to the last one, this one had a lot of rigidity on the back, but not a lot of rigidity on the sides. For me, not really a big deal, but it is nice kind of having the extra rigidity. It is super nice that this is a full enclosed bino harness. So as you're kind of transitioning through the woods, you're not getting a bunch of debris on your optics. And then one thing that I will point out is, again, on the inside, really upgraded that inside material. So it's more of that softer fabric, where again, on the original one, it was this mesh style, which just wore out extremely quick. Also made it a little difficult to slide binos in and out, which was kind of a pro and a con. Again, difficult to get them in, but what was nice is you didn't have to run any type of bino lanyards on the harness itself, because you didn't have to worry about them falling out. Whereas this one, depending on the binos that you're running, you probably will want to get some lanyards. I just basically took some off another pair of marsupials that I had and just threw them on this. They attach pretty easily, and then it's just going to keep my binos safe and keep them from falling and hitting the ground. Now, the other thing that I kind of want to point out is that this year, whereas last year they offered multiple different sizes, if I recall correctly, they had a small, medium, and large, whereas this year they wanted to limit the amount of SKUs that they had. So they're offering what I believe they're calling is a one size fits most, and then with the bino harness, you're basically getting 2 of these foam pads, which will allow you to adjust how high or how low your binos are going to ride in the actual bucket. Now, there is another accessory that is not yet currently available if you're running the SIG Zulus. These are a 12 by 42. So if the other accessory is basically 2 side attachment, Velcro attachment pieces, which basically provides a little bit more of a snugger fit. If you're running these binos, it'll keep them from kind of dancing around as you're transitioning or as you're walking in and out of the woods. Now, one thing that I will say is I'm going to pull these SIGs out, and I do have a couple different binos here on the table. I got a pair of 8 by 42s, and obviously no issues with those fitting in there. I got a pair of 10 by 42s, again, no issues with those fitting in there. And keep in mind, these are all Vortex Diamondbacks. And then also I have a pair of 10 by 50s, and again, no issues with these fitting in here. So we got like a variety of different bino sizes. And then obviously the SIG Zulus, which are my brand new binos that I just picked up. If you guys haven't checked out the SIG Zulus, I highly recommend it. I mean, if you don't want to spend $1,000 on binos, then don't bother looking through them, because it will make it very difficult to go back to a standard set of binos. That's the only thing that I will caution you about the SIG Zulu. So other than that, like I said, that's basically the new bino bucket. Now let's talk about what, in my opinion, is probably one of the nicest upgrades about this bino harness. Is the new lid design. So obviously non-magnetic, full enclosure, but the good thing is like when you go to flip it down, you can see that it lays flat up against the bino harness. Now, this is probably one of the nicest things I think about this harness, because the last one was such a pain in the butt. Like, if you laid it flat, you had all this kind of hanging out. So really, I mean, you had to put this in full tuck mode, especially if you're saddle hunting, because this thing would constantly flap and just get in the way. It was really annoying. So this one, like I said, does lay flush. Now, one thing that I will point out is, like, obviously, you know, when it's in the full tuck mode, or when I should say not full tuck mode, but when the lid is just laying flat on the harness, you can see that the tension from the drawstrings is what's kind of keeping it flat, but there's really nothing kind of holding that in place. Now, the sweet thing is that they did give you the option to run this in a full tuck mode. What's also really nice is that this one is gonna continue to lay flat up against your chest, whereas if you went full tuck mode on the previous one, it did kind of kick the bottom out a little bit. So like I said, just overall, this thing is just a much nicer design. One thing that I forgot to mention is they did obviously also add that front pocket again. So again, it gives you another spot to keep your release. Once you close your bino harness, you obviously don't have to worry about that thing falling out. I got an iPhone 13 Pro Max, and I can still put my phone in there and then obviously still close it. So if you're looking for a spot to put your cell phone, then that's obviously always an option. As far as price point goes, before we jump off here, like I said in the beginning of the video, this is definitely a little bit more on the expensive side. If you go the deluxe package, it's coming in at $239, which is obviously what I ordered. And once you take into account the shipping and tax, obviously tax is unavoidable, but the shipping really drove the price up. So with tax and shipping to get this to my door, I think I'm like 276 bucks in, which probably makes this one of the more expensive bino harnesses that I've ever actually owned. But you know, like I said, huge fan of Kifaru products. I believe in what they put out. And like I said, it's just high quality, USA made, backed with a warranty. And I have truly beat the crap out of all my hunting gear that I have through them. And I've had no issues to date. So when it comes to that, I'm happy to make the investment and buy a super high quality product. But that's it for this video. Obviously, any other questions, you guys know what to do. Drop me a comment below, reach out to me directly on Instagram. Always happy to help. If you guys have not subscribed to the channel, please do so. Your guys' support greatly helps me out, keeps me doing what I'm doing. And until next time, stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you guys on the next one.